Going live on YouTube. 3, 2, 1. We are live. Hello and welcome to Salary Trap. Break free and boost your income. If this workshop does not help you earn more money, I don't know what is going to work from you. So that's our big promise. This will increase your income if you do what is in here. There is an idea for you. Let's get straight into it and the ideas behind it. We are all equal as spirits. Lucy, Andy, Devinda, the McFlips in Canada, even Daniel, we're all equal as spirits. However, we're not equal in the marketplace. Our skills are not treated equally, and the marketplace is not fair. It pays outrageous money for some skills, and it pays very poorly for other skills. And this is kind of a mewing one. I'm probably picking on poets, but poets, stop wishing you were paid more. Unfortunately, the market does not value poetry in an overly expensive way, and you need to do things differently. And we found a poet who lived in our hometown in Basingstoke. Her name is Jan Jacks. We actually hired her for our wedding, and she used poetry to write wedding speeches and different things. And she wrote one for us, which was called The Other Half of You. And she writes a poem for each of you that you can read out in your wedding. It's funny, it's engaging. She is phenomenal. But she found a way to earn more from poetry. She did something different with what she did. And we have a little offer for you, which you might not want, but if we get 150 likes on the video by the end of the video, we will read out the first 2 verses of our wedding poem at the end.
So those of you on YouTube, hit like now if you wish to see that. If not, I won't be offended.
That
I'll
might
be a little bit offended.
actually reduce our likes on the channel.
I might get dislikes. Please either stay neutral or like. Those are your 2 options.
So moving on, what we wanted to say to you is stop wanting to change the world. Like, you can't shout at the world and say, I want you to pay me more for doing what I do. The market pays what the market pays. We need to do something different. We need to change what we do, find a way to add more value, find a way to increase. The world and the market isn't going to change for us. It's better to change what we do. And this workshop is all about the gap, because if we can increase what we've got coming in, we've worked on reducing how much we're spending, we create a phenomenal gap. And if there was one thing that sped up our journey to financial independence, increased our finances, it was reducing our spending and then working very hard to increase what's coming in. That makes a huge difference. So the first concept we wanted to give you right at the start is add value. I am sure of you heard those words before, like add more value, create more value for the people around you. And this is a picture of my friend Bryce. I love Bryce. He says this is very powerful, but useless advice, because it's one of those pieces of advice that when you understand it, you're like, duh, of course you do. You add value, you create value for other people. That's how you get rewarded. But until you understand it, you're like, okay, well, how do I add value? What do I do? And we want to talk to you about how you can add more value. And this is the key question to start asking, like, how can I add more value to the business I work for, the people that employ me, the people around me? But what does it mean? And we have a simple translation.
Instead of asking, like, how do I add value, ask, how can I help? It's the same kind of idea, but for me, it makes it way more concrete. It's like, oh, I'm trying to help people. That's what it means, adding value. How can I help? How can I go above and beyond their expectations and help even more?
And a key concept of this is it's not the value that you want to add, it's the value that they want. And I think we get very confused about that, because we're like, I'm doing all this to help you, but the other person might not care about what you're doing. And we had a real life example of this. We hired a virtual assistant to help us with what we were doing. And we laid out very clearly what we wanted. And then they would go off and do lots of work, but it never got us towards our mission. And we would get super frustrated because we're like, we've asked you to do this, and they do everything but the thing we wanted. And they were working hard. They thought they were adding massive value to our lives, but they really weren't. They were doing everything but the one thing we wanted. And it drove us nuts. And we ended up stopping working with her. She was a really nice person, but just didn't do anything for us.
Another example, if you think about your relationships with the people around you and you're trying to add value, you're trying to show that you love them, and maybe you're doing that by buying them gifts, you're buying them flowers and chocolates and jewelry or whatever it is, but actually all they really want is like snuggling up on the sofa and watching Netflix together. And it's just understanding, okay, what is it that you want? And you can apply this in all different areas, not just in your career and your work, but in your friendships, in your love life, in whatever it is. It's
Well,
the same idea.
Famous book, The Five Love Languages. And the five love languages say, like, you have a way you like to be loved. And quite often what we do is automatically just treat everyone else like we like to be loved. But not everyone's the same. They like to be loved in different ways. So if you can work out how the other person wants to be loved, and it's the same in business terms. Your boss wants to be loved. Your boss wants to have good times. The person who owns the business, they want to feel loved, but you have to deliver value in they want it, not how you want it. And Craig Allen put a lovely message in the chat saying, from the UK, thanks for adding value to my life, Katie and Alan, which is our purpose, is like to try and add value to your lives to help you get where you want to get to. So moving on with this, our thought is, don't guess what is value for people. Ask them. Like, just ask the question, like in your own personal relationship, how do you want to be loved? How can I look after you? What can I do for you? What's the most important thing for you? In your work, when was the last time you asked your boss, what can I do to make your life easier? When was the last time? Put it in the chat now. Have you ever asked that question to your boss? Like, what can I do to make your life easier? Jeff Smith puts, hi, Katie, just checking my chat is working. Yes. Jeff, we can confirm your chat is working. Have you ever asked that question of someone you work for, work with? Alex says, what if you're self-employed? Alex, people hire you. You have clients. Have you ever asked your clients, what can I do to make your life easier? How can I improve the work I do? What can I do that would add more value?
Yeah, if you're self-employed, it's almost like your clients are your boss, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Can you make the chat go down on the right? Like, other questions you could ask, what's the biggest thing I can do to support you? How can I support you? Or what's the biggest problem you have at the moment? So ask the boss, like, what's the biggest problem you have at the moment, or the person you work for, or the manager, or even the people around you? Like, what keeps you awake at night? What's the problem? Discover what is going on with them. Then we can work to fix that. And one of the clearest examples I ever had from this is me at like 26 or 27 years old. I worked for a grounds maintenance company and we were tendering for a contract. We were pitching for a contract. And the contract was very clear. We want the grass cut to X number of millimeters, X times a month. We want the hedges trimmed. We want the litter picked. That was what the contract said. I wanted to understand what the person issuing the contract really, really wanted behind it. So I took him for lunch. We went out and we chatted, and I said, okay, so why do you want the grass this long? Why do you want this? And it always came back to the same thing. If the grass wasn't cut on a schedule, if things weren't right, he would get complaints. The people in the homes would ring him and complain, and he hated the complaints. So what he really wanted was for people to be happy and stop ringing him. He wanted to be able to get on with what he was doing. So I put in our contract that we would do all the things he asked for, and we would direct all the calls with complaints to us. We would deal with them, put them in a spreadsheet and report to him. immediately alleviating all the pain he was receiving about calls. And I felt quite proud of that. We were solving his problem. We won the contract. It would be a terrible story if we didn't win the contract. Daniel would be like, why are you telling me this? We won the contract. But the fascinating bit is we were one of the most expensive suppliers in that list. So he paid more for what we wanted. And this is kind of what we're coming on to is you will earn more for helping people tackle their problems and giving what they want. So our thought is find out what problems people have and help fix them. And I don't really care whether you're self-employed and you've got clients, whether you're employed and you've got people you work with, customers. It doesn't really matter. Those people are still the people that you work with and create wealth around you. So my question is, like, what problems are out there that you can help them fix? And the expression I have that I've been working to live my life on for about 15 years since I found out it is, you can have anything you want in life if, and this is a big if you help enough other people get what they want in life. You can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want in life. And that is the most wonderful way to make progress, to earn money, to create value in the world. It is phenomenal.
And it's not a transactional thing, is it?
No.
It's not like, oh, well, I've helped you, now you have to help me get what I want. It's more you just give with no expectation of receiving. And yet the way the world works, fortunately, is that you then do get rewarded for what you're doing. It just might not be from that person. It might come in different ways.
So we want to know from this opening section, we're just about to go into 12 separate ways, a buffet of ways to increase your income. But from this opening section, which is the general philosophy, the mindset behind everything, what has hit you? What has hit you? What do you think? Have you tried this in the past and it didn't work? Are you open to having another go? Are you thinking, what the heck are these Donegans talking about? Jeff, are you still wondering if your chat is working?
Please put in the chat if you're on Zoom and in the chat if you're on YouTube. If you're watching on catch up, we'd love to know still. Please put a comment so we know what you think so far.
Alex says you need to be inquisitive. I think that's the key here. Is you're inquisitive, you go out into the world and find out, like, what are the problems? How does it? And what problems does the market have that they really want to spend money on fixing? Because some problems people don't care about. I have a problem, but it's not too big. Whereas if there's a big problem, they will throw money at sorting it. Ella says she will try, which is awesome. I do have a little bit of a thing about the word try. Imagine we were coming up with plans, and our group of friends said, let's go out on Saturday night. And I said to you all, I'm going to try and make it. Am I coming out for dinner with you all? What do you think? If I say I'm going to try and make the dinner, am I coming out? Like, no. Try in UK terms and generally in Western countries means I'm not actually going to do it. I'm going to try, which means I'm going to fail. So, like, please actually do this stuff. And I know you will, Ella, and I'm kind of picking on it, but just that word try, try means fail in so many ways.
Had a few other comments. Mo Connell says, ask others, not just what I want to fix. And
I love that.
I had a couple of people saying that as well. It's like, Helen also said, what's hit me the most is to ask and emphasize ask where I can add more value. Ellie says, help someone without expectations. I helped someone get an NHS dentist and got an unexpected box of chocolates.
I love that. I would love to be rewarded in chocolates a lot of the time.
Satam says, this is a great philosophy that I've applied in my work. Now I'm job hunting and wondering how I can leverage this now.
Awesome. SF says, love the idea of solving problems for others and generating win-wins. Al Hanley says, there is no try. Only do or do not. I love that. Al has turned into Yoda.
Ella's come back and says, will do. Instead.
Will do. Perfect. Ella, you're amazing. And then Eniori says, knowing someone's love language, which maybe we should write the 5 love languages of work for our next book.
That's
Not sure we
true.
can steal that title. Let's move on. We will keep going with this. What we have for you, the meat of this week's workshop, is 12 ways to increase your income. Not everything will work for all of you. It is a buffet. I want you to pick which of the juicy items we have for you today you are going to start with. So take notes, write down which ones you're going to try, and then have a plan. I'm going to start with number 3, then do number 5. This is what I'm going to start with. And Grazie in the chat has got my attention because she says, I will give you chocolate, Alan, if we ever meet.
Can I have some as well? That's a bit unfair. Hopefully you'll share.
Definitely. And Sarah had a lovely idea. I will ask potential wedding clients if they need help finding any other suppliers. That's a wonderful question. Okay. What we really need to be careful of here is if you catch yourself saying, this won't work for me, you need to stop and change that to, how might this work for me? Because if you believe it won't work, it will not work. And part of this is you have to believe in the possibility of testing these things. Otherwise, we're screwed from the start. So we have to believe that it might work. So I want you to change that question to, how might this work in my situation? So make notes. What exactly are you going to do about all this? Because we're going to ask you at the end.
Yeah, exactly. And so jot down all the different ideas and we'll come back to you. And we're really curious to know which ones you're going to try.
And just on the possibility bit, we have enough examples to prove without a shadow of doubt it is possible to increase your income from wherever you are starting. And that's all you need to know, is this is possible, and we have enough stories, testimonials, and evidence to prove you can do it. Or it's up to you. You can do the same as you've always done and get the same results as you always do, if you'd like that. So let's try something new, because this all comes back to the gap. If you haven't watched the Money Game Play and Win It, watch that one. It's about the gap.
And this is part of a series of 3 workshops within this overall series that is about how to actually do that, how to widen the gap. So we already had about living large on a small budget on Monday, and next Monday, Alan's going to lead creating a side hustle. And we did want to say as well that you don't have to watch these in order. You can choose the ones that excite you the most. So if you thinking, oh, we need to go back and watch the other ones before watching them live, you don't need to do that. Just come along to the ones that you can, and you can always catch up on the other ones later, because I think watching live is so much more fun.
So number 1 of the 12 ways, ask for a raise. And it's something people just don't do very regularly. They don't do it very often, asking for a raise. And there's some key bits we wanted to do here. Number 1 is add value first. You have to add value first. I have had people who work for me who come and ask for a raise when I don't think they're doing a good job in the first place, and it doesn't go well as a meeting for either of us. It's better if you're already doing the thing you want to be rewarded for. It's better, and this is one of my key expressions that I live my life by, you have to pay the price up front and in full to get what you want. So quite often you need to demonstrate you're doing what you want to be rewarded for before you're doing it. So what can you do to add value before you ask for the question? Because if you go in and you've done a huge amount of work and the people are really happy and you've earned money, it's a much easier conversation. And if you go in and they go, well, what do you do here? How long have you worked here? Like, that doesn't help you. Building on that, it's worth knowing roughly how the company's doing. Is it doing well? Is it making lots of money? Is it not? I've had people come to me in bad years where we're really not doing well, asking for a raise, and that's a tough conversation to have. When we're doing well, I actually feel like sharing what we're earning, and it changes things. So just know roughly how it's doing. On that line, one of the most important things to know is your value. Not as a human, but like in your heart, I know I'm doing a good job. I know I'm giving value. I know I am delivering this. And if you really truly believe that in your heart, the conversation when you're having it will be so much easier.
The other thing as well is to realize that you already have skills. And sometimes it's really hard for us to realize this because we kind of undervalue it for ourselves because we think, well, that's easy. Surely everyone knows how to do it. No, it's easy because you're good at it. So, and if you're finding it hard to think what your skills are, ask other people as well, because I found that really helped. And Alan's like, well, of course you have skills, you can do all these things. And the other way of thinking about it is to think, what do you find easy that other people really struggle with? And they think, how on earth do they do that? So those are the clues for where your skills are.
I just wanted to pick up on a comment in the chat from Lauren. She said, I recently asked for a raise and my boss said she can't afford it. It's a small business. I'm the only employee. Lauren, my thing would be, do you know the numbers of the business? What's it bringing in? How well's it doing? Is it true that she can't afford it, or is it a myth? Like, understand the business as much as you can, and then you will know from there. So we'll move on to the next bit, which is actually, once you've realized you've got skills, it's owning that value and knowing inside. I would like you all to be 20% less British. Like that British thing of like humble. Oh, I can't really tell you what I'm good at. It just doesn't serve us in life. The key is to say, I am good at presenting, and own that. I am great at creating spreadsheets. Like, I own that I am good at that. I'm good at making friends, which you might go, why is making friends on your list? Like, that's the number one sales skill. It is very valuable. I am great at organizing. I'm good at that. And if you can earn those things, that's so important. And one of the ways Katie has done that in the past, which works really well,
keeping a record of what I do, which I loved. Whenever I was working in my corporate job, if someone said something nice to me or said, well done, you did really well on that, like if it was in an email, I would put it in a separate folder to keep it there to boost my confidence. If ever I was feeling low about what I was doing, I would go and reread those things. If people said something to me verbally, I would go and like make a note of it and send myself an email and put that in the same folder. And not only is that good for boosting your confidence, but then when you're trying to build your case to your employer or your boss as to why you should get promoted or get a raise, then you've got these things that will jog your memory and say, oh yeah, I did do really well on that project. Oh yeah, I really helped that client out. And you can start to build the evidence to be able to go and ask for that raise and build your confidence in asking for the raise as well.
Two comments. Lauren said that she doesn't feel like her boss would share how the business is doing. If you're in a small business, you can tell because you know what they're selling, you know what's coming in, you know the price they're charging. You can tell a lot of this. And I would just ask innocuous questions as you go, like, how are sales going this week? How is the business performing? How do you think we're doing? Actually generate chat and getting interested in it, you will find out so much. And then Donna said, my son felt very undervalued and resigned on Tuesday. On Wednesday, his very low salary was almost doubled as he negotiated, which I love. And we're going to come on to that right now, which is great to know the value in your heart. And you've got to know your value in the marketplace. How do you do that? There are salary comparison sites. And it's really interesting. You can put in what job you do, you want to do. It will tell you what the high range salaries are, what the low range, what the mid range are. It will tell you about the location. There's some fantastic information. It will also tell you what the current demand for that title is, which I found very interesting. I put in that I was a professional trainer, and it said the demand for that is very low.
I want you.
Thank you, but that doesn't really help with the marketplace. Right. It's really difficult to negotiate a higher salary if the demand for the role is low. But knowing the information is fascinating. So we actually wanted to do this right now. So we've got a link here to the Randstad one. This is for the UK. I bet you if you Google it, McFlips, there is a Canada one that comes up. But we'd love you to actually do this right now. Use the salary calculator and have a look and see, are you being paid well for your role? Are you being paid poorly? Where are you on that? And what's the demand for your role? We would love to know what you think. Jeff says it's difficult if you work for a big company, we're all driving staff on the same wage. I get that. And different driving companies will pay different wages. So there are some companies that pay above wages, and there's some companies that pay low wages. So knowing this stuff from the calculator can really help you negotiate, move, change. But you've got to know. You might also realize, actually, I'm already being paid pretty well for the role I'm in. So you don't want to like press too hard because you're already at the high end. And that leads to a whole different discussion of where do you move and what do you do to increase your salary from there. Please stick something in the chat, like an X, to know you're still with us or you're actually doing this on your phone and having a go. I'd like to actually know you're still there and it's like you're actually here, you're doing it.
Yeah, and we'd love to know your insights as they arise of like, what did you find out about it? Did you, was there more or less demand for your role than you thought? Was the salary range higher or lower than you thought? We sent them off busy doing stuff, and yeah.
We have. Devinder says he's still here. Verinder says thumbs up, just doing it now. Daniel says it's loading. That's awesome. Ella's got an X. Julie's doing it. So people are working, and that's actually what we wanted this to be, is a workshop where we work together rather than just us talking for 90 minutes. We actually want to take action and it doing it. Sarah says still here. Pete's doing the salary check now, but he knows he's in a good job. I love that. Bibiana will have the link later and do it. Al is back. I don't know where you went, Al, but I'm glad you're back.
Hopefully, well, maybe off to do the exercise.
Okay.
What did you find out, Al? What did you discover?
Yeah, so as you do this, please let us know. Please let us know. Donna, we're just taking comments for the moment, so we're going to keep going. I will come back to you for questions, I promise. So we're going to keep going on this as we go.
Oh, Daniel says it's miles off for my role.
Interesting.
I'm curious which way.
Yeah. Okay. So we wanted to actually tackle specific language to negotiate with your employer, because a lot of the times it's hard to know, how do I open this up? What specifically do I say? How do I do this? So we wanted to give you exact wording to make it easier. And for us, the direct approach tends to work better. So we have a very simple, I wanted to talk to you about increasing my salary. That's a very simple thing you can say. I want to talk to you about increasing my salary. Maybe it's setting a meeting. Maybe it's just saying to them and then setting a time to do it. And then when you actually come to do it, there's the word because highlighted. And because is one of the most powerful words in persuasion, because it shows you have reasons and evidence for it. So I want to increase my salary because I've done some market research and I can see I'm not being paid in line with people in my industry. I'm doing X, Y, and Z for the company, and I believe that has huge value. This is the one I used to get my last big raise at the grounds maintenance firm. Was I won you this contract, I'm managing this contract, and it's bringing in this much money for the organization. Like showing I know my value. So I want to increase my salary because I'm bringing that to the business.
And if you coupled that with the things that I said about keeping a record of what you do well and what your clients say, if you could say, well, I'm managing X contract and the client's feedback is amazing. Look at what they said about me, and you can read it out and have it prepared for when you talk to them. So combining those two together, not only am I doing this, but I'm knocking it out the park as well. I'm doing really well.
A few people have said the salary calculator is low and well off. Well, that's interesting feedback. Let's find some other salary calculators that we can have a go with and see if we can find out which ones we would actually do. It's really interesting. And then Lauren comes in and says, it seems a bit high for me. I've not seen anyone being paid near that. Like, none of these services are perfect, but it gives you data to negotiate with. If it doesn't give you the data you want, find one that does. There will be one out there that shows you what you need to do.
Marley said the calculator was pretty spot on for them. So I think it must vary by industry and by
role as well.
And location, yeah.
Yes. So I want to talk to you about increasing my salary because I've done some market research. I don't think I'm being paid in line with my peers. I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm bringing value for the company. And I need the increase to do this, to do that, whatever you need the money for. And a combination of reasons can be really powerful. Then you can pause and ask, what do you think? And the key bit in negotiation, we spoke about it last week. The key bit in any conversation and negotiation is at that point to shut up, cover your mouth, and let them speak because you will find out all sorts of information. So the real key is just to go silent and let them talk. Then you can find out what's going on. And depending on what they say, you can then have a chat about it. Like some people have been known to say, yes, you're right. I've been thinking of doing this. Let's talk about it. Some people will say no. Some people will say maybe. It then becomes a tree of where do you go with this conversation.
Yeah, and if it doesn't go the way you want it, a couple of ideas are you could say, well, if you were to increase my salary, what would I need to do? Like, what is it that would allow me to, in your eyes, deserve to have a pay rise? Or if
Well,
it
this is
doesn't go
like a
as well.
slightly harsher one, but have it in your toolbox for later down the process, which we're coming to, is like, I really like working here. I love this place. Don't force me to look elsewhere, which is like the commitment. And it does become a long game. I want you to think of this as the long game because it's not just about a one-off negotiation. You're building a career, you're building working with these people over years. It's a very long game. And on that long game, it can become a game of chicken. And what I mean to that, well, let me give you the real life example. I had a friend who worked for a very large organization that was helping him with his uh, partner process. He wanted to become a partner in the business and he kept getting blocked. They kept saying, we're not going to move you. We're not going to promote you. We're not going to do this. And in the end, he went off and got an offer for another job somewhere else. So he got a good job offer for slightly more money from somewhere else. And then he came back to the company and said, I've got this offer. And his boss, who he worked for, said this. He said, tell me, have you signed the contract? If you have signed the contract, we'll go out for a drink, we'll part friends, it'll be lovely. If you haven't, then let's talk about it. And if they value you as an employee, they will want to keep you because it costs a lot to get new people. It costs a lot to train them. So sometimes getting an offer somewhere else, you have to be willing to go through with it because they may call your bluff. So they might go, I know you've got this offer elsewhere. Like, that's it.
Which,
but at least then you know.
Yeah, which Anne put in the chat, you can only do that once per organization, really. Yeah, these tools are things to use.
Or once every few years.
Yeah. Don't go into your boss week on week and be like, I've done this, I've done that. Yeah, these are, as Alan said, the long game and things. Yeah.
The business's mission is to make money, and their goal in general is to get more for less. That's what a business's goal is. And your goal is to earn more and add value. That's it. You just have different goals. You have to kind of work together on that. And if you do this and you call their bluff and they say no, like if they don't value you, at least you know, and you might be able to move to an organization that really does value what you're doing. So I just wanted to call that one out. That's the ask for a raise section. It's something that people don't do enough. They don't ask, and you do not get what you do not ask for. So ask.
Helen said, what are your thoughts on comparing with your colleagues? I know some are paid more and some are paid less than me. Is that a tactic you can use?
It's absolutely a tactic you can use. They will be paid more and less because they have negotiated it for, because they've asked for it. And I'm debating how to say this, but I'm just going to say it. Men are more likely to directly ask for what they want than women. And like, that is wrong. Like, just ask for what you want. So if you're on this cool, like just ask directly for the raise, just ask for what you want. It is so important to do that. So important. Um, Okay, McFlip says, from a financial perspective, what if the goals and priorities of the organization do not align with your personal goals? You will find that out quite quickly through this process and through these questions. And then for me, if they don't align, it's how quickly can I find an organization I do align with? How quickly can I get out? And I had this, I used to work for a photocopier sales company, and their sales tactics were unbelievable. I didn't like how they worked. Like our alignment was terrible, and I did not last long, and I was finding a new role very, very quickly. So these questions will help you find out where you're going from. And Stephen Murray says, you don't usually get what you deserve, you get what you ask for. I
Very
love
wise,
that.
Stephen.
There are so many deserving people in the world who are underpaid. If you're listening to me right now, please don't be one of them. Be deserving and then ask for the raise and get paid what you deserve. I think it's fantastic.
Ellen says increasing my freelance rate was scary, put it off for months, but it went really smoothly and I had a backup list of my values but didn't need it.
That's fantastic, Ellen. Yes. And
Excellent.
normally it is the fear of
Yeah.
what if you lose some clients, and you might do, and that's okay. And sometimes you will lose clients you have early in your career, increase your prices, and then there will be space for new clients. So we're going to move on to number two, which is sometimes there is a ceiling to what you can earn in certain careers. And I was doing some research about how much you get paid for certain careers, and teaching assistants, like I couldn't believe this, £6.70 an hour. I feel like it's under the minimum wage. Like, how is that even possible? Sales assistants, £9 an hour, shelf packers, 9.57, cashiers, 9.60. Like, there's certain industries that the market doesn't value. It just doesn't value. And there is a ceiling to what you can earn in those industries. And then you start to think, how can I change? Where can I move? What can I do?
And often people will say to us, well, I am a certain profession, like I'm a teacher or I work in the NHS, or like I can't earn more. That's what's paid. That's how it works. So this asking for a raise doesn't work, or I don't really want to change career. I love what I'm doing. And then what I would say to you is to start thinking differently. So we talked about this in the how do you get more for less workshop on Mondays. Like, change your mindset from asking like, well, I can never earn more, this is pointless, to how might I?
Yes.
How might I increase my income and earn more? And maybe there'll be other ways that you can use your skills. If you love teaching, keep teaching, but what else can you use those skills for to earn more money and do different things?
And we have a very fortunate position. We have run events around the world about financial independence, and it's surprising the number of teachers that come to our events having reached financial independence by doing different things. So I would say, back to an earlier point of, we have enough testimonials and stories to prove that it is possible to earn more no matter what you're doing. So we had some ideas for you. How might I increase my income or earn more if I'm a teacher? What about online tutoring? What about building a business in the summer or the 6 week summer holiday? And you might go, I want my break more than I want extra money. That's a choice. How do I climb the ladder at the school and get promoted? Could I write educational materials, curriculum design, educational consulting, freelancing? Could you run after school clubs? I actually made a reasonable amount of money doing this for a while when I was a kid. We met a couple that worked abroad in Dubai and earned their teaching salaries tax-free by working somewhere that had different tax laws. Like, it's unbelievable what you can do if you open your mind to different possibilities.
And the final one is more kind of a lateral move, thinking, well, I really enjoy teaching. I don't want to give that up. Well, could you teach adults instead? Could you be a trainer or a facilitator? And if you're working for a corporate, but in the learning department, your salary is going to be way much higher. Way much higher. That was terrible English.
Way much
Someone
higher.
teach me how to speak English, please.
Derek says, my fiance is a teacher and does private tutoring and marking exams. It's fantastic. Claudia says, love this mindset and everything we're doing. And Julie says, thank you. This is really helpful. I'm super proud. This actually really struck me. This is the first ever entrepreneurial project I ran. I don't know if you can see me in the back row. I didn't have a beard back then. I'm wearing a tie. I thought you had to wear a suit to be important back then. Um, but the first ever entrepreneurial workshop I ran for a set of three schools, a pupil referral unit, a special education unit, and a mainstream school. It was phenomenal. It was a 9-month project. I got paid well. It was great. Then I spent a year trying to sell to schools, and it was my worst year ever in business. Like the schools just didn't have the money to fund the projects I wanted to do. So I changed to getting my projects funded for adults. So I ran rebel business schools funded by housing associations, corporate sponsors, and gave it away. And I was doing the same thing for a different audience. And there is always a way to do that. So my question for you is, can we find the intersection of these things? The stuff you love and you're passionate about, things you enjoy doing and light you up. It's so much easier to do a job you love. What the market values. So some of the stuff you love, maybe knitting, is not highly valued by the marketplace, but maybe it is. So you love it, it's highly valued, and you've either got the skills or you can learn the skills. And I put learn the skills there because I truly believe you can learn anything. So do you love it? Is it valued? And can you learn it? Or do you already have the skills? And that magic zone in the middle is where you will earn a shed load of cash. We just need to find it by doing things.
And not only will you earn all that cash, but it'll be something that you enjoy doing as well.
That's the magic. Then it doesn't feel like work because you're doing something you love. Cool. So that's number 2, is about changing careers and actually finding one that really does support you or getting more out of it. Number 3 was a huge one for you, Katie.
Yes, this really changed our trajectory and made our gap massive, which was to become a contractor. So in my industry, I saw that like all the people around me were leaving my job, the place where I worked, and I was thinking, what's happening?
What are they doing?
Where are they going? They seem happy. And there was a massive demand for contractors at the time because there was big changes in the industry, and companies were desperate for extra people and they were willing to pay a high amount for it. So, but we were a bit nervous about doing this because I had to quit my job without knowing if I had a contract coming up, because I had a 3-month notice period with my current job, but they wouldn't be taking people on for contracts until maybe like 2 weeks before actually needing them. So I was like, well, what if I quit my job and no one like wants me and I don't find a contract? So we were really nervous about this. And then this is where the power of having some FU money, you might have heard this term before. You can guess what the F stands for. The U is you. We would go on these long walks around Basingstoke. We were like, well, what would happen if I didn't find a job? How would it work? And we had enough savings that we'd have been able to, I think we had about 2 years worth of savings at that point, that if I didn't get a job, if I didn't find a contract, then we had this long runway to be able to figure out something else, to go back to my old job or a different job entirely. So we had that option and that freedom as well. So the way that you can implement this in your careers or your lives is like to even think, well, does my industry use contractors? And they might not use the word contractor. They might say freelance, consultant. Any other words that I've missed? Those sorts of things.
Yeah,
That's
like,
that idea, isn't it?
The person that turns up 1 day a week, ask them, like, what do you do for the other 4 days? How does this work? Why do we hire you? What do we do? Get curious and learn about the possibilities. It's amazing how the different industries hire different people in, and we just don't know about it.
And I would say even in those industries where you think, well, surely we don't do that. I don't know, like in schools.
Schools, they do hire contractors.
Exactly. They have people come in to do that stuff. So it's just opening your eyes up to those possibilities, asking people, like Alan said, that come into the office that like float around and do this contracting thing. Like, how does it actually work? Is it something that you could do? And just start to learn about it.
Absolutely. And this one, Katie managed to triple her salary and reduce her commute, which was just the most magic thing that ever could have happened to us.
Talk about the gap. So my earnings went sky high. And we were actually spending less because I wasn't having to commute in and spend hundreds of pounds on a train
with
ticket every month.
Southwest trains.
Oh, Southwest train. I was so sad to see you go.
Okay.
I wasn't sad at all.
So
that was a lie.
If this one has struck you, ask the people around you at work, do we use contractors? How does it work? Like, get curious about what's going on. Moving on to the next one. Number 4, discover how to add more value, which is this just is clarifying our open thoughts, but it's discover how to clarify, how to add more value to the business. And you had the example of when you used to work for Deloitte, Katie.
Yeah, part of my annual rating, or how they sort of reviewed my performance over the year, was my sales activity. I was like, sales activity? Can you just like leave me alone to do my work and spend time with my spreadsheets? But I didn't really understand or appreciate or even want to get involved with the commercial side of the business, meaning the only way they're able to pay my salary is if we have clients that give us money and then they pay me. I just wanted to be left alone to do my work. But if I had more of an understanding and an interest in the sales side of things, I would have been way more highly rewarded as well. It's that's the thing that companies want. If you're able to bring in money, that's what they want. And then this then links back to asking for a raise as well.
It really does. So really understand what's going on in the business and why they want you to do. And something that struck me, and you've probably heard this expression, how you treat one person is how you treat everyone. And quite often you look at the people who treat the receptionist, the people who are cleaning the building, like how do they treat them? And I always wanted to treat everyone well. And I wanted to be curious about everyone. And I remember a big university I worked for a while doing some contracting work. I made friends with the guy behind the front desk. We would always chat. And I just enjoyed chatting to him. So I was curious, what are you working on? What are you doing? And one day when I came in to do some work for them, he said to me, we've been talking about you. And he was on the committee organizing the graduation speech for the students that year, and he'd recommended me as a speaker, and he won me the gig. So it's not just about like just the persons that can benefit you. It's about all the different people around you in that organization. You can learn so much from the person at the front desk, from the cleaner, from your colleague. Like, please learn from all these people around you.
I think as well, people will see how you treat them as well. Like if you're nice to the people that are serving you and someone observes that's thinking of hiring you, that really will help as well to see that you're a nice person.
Building on that, one of the things we love to do is ask someone at the next level how you got there. And you can define next level however you want, next level of relationship, business, finances. Ask them how they got there. And I remember reading a book many years ago that challenged me to take a wealthy human for lunch. That's a picture of sushi, by the way. It doesn't matter what the lunch is, but take a wealthy human for lunch and ask them, how did you build your business? How did you make your money? How did you do this? How did it happen? Like, ask them. You will learn so much. It's unbelievable. And we've done that a few times. And I always leave with gems of advice that will help me make progress. So we're going to move on to number 5. After we do number 5, we're going to ask you which of these you're going to use, what tips you've actually got so far. So please stay tuned into that. We're going to be asking you for comments in a second. Number 5 is negotiation. If there is one, Andy Gibbons says, is this Alan's way of getting a free lunch? Andy, I didn't say take me for lunch, take a wealthy human. Although if you want to take me for lunch, I will never turn down tacos or some kind of pizza. Yeah, that's
you
basically
putting your order in at this point.
I know this is basically how we became financial independence. Everyone else buys us lunch. No, that's not
just
true.
Parasites on everyone else.
Not true. So let's move on to number 5 before we get ourselves into trouble. Become a negotiator. Everything in life is negotiated. I don't care what it is negotiated. And the key concept here, which comes from the very first week we did of the course, which was about manifesting, is it's all made up. Your job is made up. Your job title is made up. The industry is made up. Jeff, the buses you drive are made up. Like someone created that. It is all made up. everything. So it is possible to negotiate it. What the people you're negotiating with quite often do is they say, computer says no, or our policy says no, or we can't do this because it's not in this. That's what they always say, is computer says no. I had a friend called Sean that always made me laugh. He would ring up airlines when he needed to like fix something with his flight, and they would say to him, our policy says you can't do that. And he would look at them and say, well, my policy says I can do this. And he would make up his own policies. Like, it's all made up, but they hide behind, you can't do this because it's in the rules, it's wherever it is. But you can, we just need to get past it. And one of the key bits is they will make exceptions if they like you.
Mm-hmm.
If you've connected, been nice, found a way around it, they really value what you do, they will make exceptions. And I always remember a huge university I worked for. This is, I'm just going to say it, I didn't have to follow some of the same rules because they loved the work I did, but other suppliers would be forced to jump through all sorts of hoops because they weren't as interested in working with them. And it is really fascinating. The more they love working with you, the more value you give, the more they will bend the rules. The computer said no, but that's okay, we'll do it this way. It is amazing what can happen if you've delivered the value.
So you can negotiate anything. If it's all made up, you can negotiate anything. And the one thing that we've seen over the years is if something is printed out, somehow it makes it feel more official, isn't it? Maybe that means that you can't negotiate. They did this thing in the warehouse where they had handwritten signs of the prices, and they would always get negotiated with. The customers coming in would say, oh, well, I'll give you half what you've written on there. A consultant came in and said, change your handwritten signs to printed price labels. And the negotiation, the number of people that tried to barter with them went like through the floor. They hardly had anyone doing that anymore, because if something is printed, therefore somehow it's official. And we want to say to you is use this for yourself. When you go into those salary negotiations with your boss, with whoever it is, with your client, show them, like, take some printed materials with you. Oh, it's printed, it must be true. And it sounds bonkers, but people actually think like this. We're all kind of trained to think like this.
They will literally say to you, the salary band we can offer you is this because it's been decided. Well, you can print something out from one of these salary things saying people in my industry earn this. So this is what I should be being paid. And this is how you really negotiate what you're going to. And someone said earlier about like different people being paid different amounts. This is the stuff that actually helps you to get paid more than the average person in your industry. So number 5 is all about negotiation. Everything you have in your life has been negotiated. So negotiate to get more. And we have a little recommendation on a book, Never Split the Difference. Is a fascinating book from a guy that used to negotiate life or death crises. He learned a thing or two working for the FBI about negotiating. So it's a really interesting book. Are we doing number 6 before we ask people what we're doing?
Yes, we were going to do one more before we checked in with people and said which of these first ones you're going to do.
Okay, so please put an X or something in the chat to tell me you're still alive, and we will keep going on number 6 as you do that. Lucy's smiling, which I'm assuming is proof of life.
It did go very quiet in the chat, and I think that's because they were like so overwhelmed, absorbed, and inspired. They're still here. Yes, hello everyone.
Govinda's alive. Angela says still going. Someone press heart and smiley face, so I'm feeling happy. NN is still here. Donna's still here. Okay, so let's do 6, and then we'll keep going, and then I'm going to ask you which ones you do. 6 is learn how to sell. And a lot of the times when I say to people, learn how to sell, they'll go, well, I'm a teacher. I don't need to sell. I work for the NHS. I don't need to sell. I do X. I don't need to sell. And in the nicest possible way, I don't care. Learn how to sell. Sales is often the highest paid position in any organization. And the reason for that is there is no business without sales. Alex Payne says they're still breathing, which I'm good. Thank you, Alex. The highest paid position is sales. Like if you work for self-employed and you're working for someone else, like sell more for them and they will love you. And we wanted to expand on that to say everything is sales. And don't care what it is. If you want to go and watch movie X and your partner wants to go and watch movie Y, whoever is best at selling that movie will win. If you want to eat Indian food or Italian food, whoever's the best at sales will come out the other side. Sales is a skill that will help you with everything.
And this applies as well if you work in an organization that is not a business and is not explicitly selling stuff, like if you work for the government or other things like that. So, but the idea is that you're trying to sell your ideas, you're trying to sell the projects that you think the organization should work on, you're selling your value. It's always about selling. It's not necessarily selling something physical or a product or service, it's selling your ideas.
Lauren said, this is my biggest block. My body goes into fight or flight mode because I can't tell the difference between me trying to sell to someone and a bear attacking me. We need to work on those distinctions.
Stop selling to bears.
Lucy says, I've always struggled to sell myself. I need more confidence. Alex says, sales is persuasion. Yes. But let's play the word association game. So the word association game, if I say the word salesman to you, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What's the first thing that comes to mind if I say the word salesman? I look to the right because we have our first live audience member of the series. Shah is sat next to me, which is amazing. But what it does, Davinda says slimy. Lucy says pushy. Donna says slippery. Could you imagine if they're slimy and slippery?
We've had 2 people say Del Boy, which for the non-UK listeners, that was some kind of dodgy ducking and diving, bobbing and weaving person that was like complete cowboy dodgy person. We've had at least 2 people say runaway.
Secondhand car,
a third
slimy.
Third person says Del Boy.
Yeah. Suzanne says saleswoman. I specifically said the word salesman, Suzanne, because it tends to get more of a reaction. People think saleswomen are more trustworthy and women are generally nicer in that world.
Dee says people knocking on doors when you're just about to have dinner. How annoying.
Unpleasant is the word that comes to mind. Angela says
dishonest. So
Verinda,
sales to me means new ideas.
But it's quite interesting. The reason for doing this exercise is I'm telling you to learn how to sell. And what's your opinion of salespeople? Like, can you see a disconnect here? You're like, I must learn how to sell because it'll improve my career. But if I sell, I become a sleazy, slimy scumbag that sells cars. So are you ever going to do it? Like, we need to rewire your brain as to what sales is. For me, sales is finding someone with a problem, selling something that fixes it, and making their life better. Would you like to go out and find problems and make people's lives better? That's what sales is. I'm not trying to force you to take something from me that you don't want. I'm trying to find out if what I have will help you. It will change your world.
I like your enthusiasm definition of sales as well.
Which we're coming on to in a bit. Don't blow the game.
Oh no, I nearly gave it away.
Everything is sales and persuasion, and I don't really care what it is. It is, especially when you're selling yourself at an interview in a career, you are selling yourself. And I have this expression I repeat at the Rebel Business School of everything you want in life is outside your comfort zone. So if sales or selling something makes you feel uncomfortable, that's probably the thing we need to tackle to help you make progress, because everything you want is outside your comfort zone. Otherwise, you'd already have it if you were comfortable doing it. Like if you're afraid of investing, that's the thing you need to overcome to get to where you want to get to in life. If you're afraid of selling, if you're afraid of asking for a raise, that's the thing you need to do, which the universe is really annoying because it basically says for you to get to where you want to get to, you need to do the thing that you're afraid of. So pick the thing you're most afraid of and do it. That's what you need to do. And we need to get past that and over it. And lots of people have said sales, like the definition of the word, it has got a bad definition because of a lot of people in that industry who try and force things on people.
It isn't interesting in different cultures as well. So this isn't true around the world, and they would happily use the word sales. And I can't remember where we did a course and we said, what do you think of sales or the word salesman? And they were like happy and kind and generous. It was so interesting. So it's just
That was
like
Namibia.
So it's like, don't change the word sales, just change the way you feel about it.
Exactly. We had a few resources to help you with this. A book that made a difference in my early days is called Cold Calling for Chickens. If that title scares you, that's why you should read it. Your work might have courses about it. You can listen to podcasts. This is an episode that I did for our podcast all about sales. Like, that's the thing. And I've got a definition for you. For me, the best definition I've ever heard of sales is the transfer of enthusiasm from one person to another. If I can get enthusiastic about my product, and then I can get you enthusiastic about it, and it will actually help you with your life, you're 90% of the way to making sales and changing the world. That's the key. So if you can redefine sales in your head, reclaim the word for you and change it to meaning I'm doing good, I'm helping people, it changes everything. Sales is the transfer of enthusiasm from one person to another. And do you think we've been trying to sell you our ideas tonight? Does that make you scared, Lucy? It's like, oh, they're selling to me. Is it a bear or is it a real person?
Slimy.
I'm a slimy person. I have been trying to sell you ideas that I think will help you in your life. And I do it because I genuinely think this stuff will help you to earn more, create a better life. Like, that's it. Like, that's all I want to do. Claudia says it doesn't feel like sales. I'm hoping it doesn't because I genuinely care. And that's sales doesn't feel like sales if you're genuinely trying to find out if the other person has a problem and help them fix it. It doesn't feel like that because they actually care. So what we want to do now is think, what do you think so far? We've given you 6 of the 12 ways, and then we're going to deliver the other 6 and finish up. But which of these are you going to test? So we've had number 1, ask for a raise. Number 2, change career. Number 3, become a freelancer. Number 4, add more value. Number 5, become a negotiator. Number 6, learn to sell. Which one makes you feel most nervous?
Yeah, you could almost like you just put the number in the chat if you want to tell us more about it. Yeah, tell us which of those you want to do. And the one that makes you the most nervous, as Alan said, is the one that you should do. So we've had a couple of 6s on the Zoom chat, learn to sell.
Susan says it's all made up. That is a wonderful learning because that frees you to negotiate anything. Lauren says I've learned to stop selling to bears. I think that's a great learning.
I love this. We've had lots of 6s, which is learn to sell. I think you've sold people on the need to learn to sell, Alan.
Yes, Grant, S. Grant says freelancer is the one I've been thinking about for a while. It's working out how much money to have as backup first. That literally depends how much demand there is for that type of freelancer. If there's huge demand, you might only need a 6-month runway or a 3-month runway. Makes a big difference.
Derek's going to read the book that we recommended about negotiation. We've had lots of 6s.
Mia's going to ask for a raise, which I love. Grazia's going to change career, which is fantastic. Sarah is on to 4 and 5, which is adding more value and becoming a negotiator. This is fantastic. The whole point of these workshops is to create action so that something changes. If nothing changes, your salary won't change, your income won't change. So the more energy we have and the more change we create, the more likely we are to move towards it. This is fantastic. Thank you for engaging us. The chat makes such a big difference in this. So we're going to move on to number 7.
I'm worried when you look away that people still can't hear you. Is that true?
We'll check. Number 7 is massive for us. Number 7 changed my life, and it was becoming a better public speaker, a better presenter, a better communicator. It changed everything. And Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, said if there's one thing to do, it's become a better communicator. He says to go to Toastmasters, and I totally agree. Toastmasters is a phenomenal place to learn about presenting. This is me presenting in Japan, in Tokyo, to the Tokyo Toastmasters. I had so much fun doing it. I was not speaking in Japanese. Thankfully, they spoke English. Uh, but learning how to present changes everything for several reasons. One is your ability to communicate, and two is the confidence it gives you. The number one thing people get out of Toastmasters is confidence. That changes everything. When you're going in to ask for a raise and you don't fluff your words, when you're selling your ideas and it smoothly flows, it changes everything. The confidence increases you.
And you get to hang out with a bunch of people who all want to improve themselves, and you'll get ideas from them. And it's just this wonderful energy. There are these Toastmasters clubs where everyone wants to improve their lives in some way. Some people are there to make friends. Some people want to do better in their jobs. Some people, a third thing that I can't think of right now, but it's another way of networking as well. Sometimes people think of networking as a bit icky and they don't want to do it, but this network of people around you, a lot of small business owners that might be looking for clients as freelancers or full-time employees, just being in that environment can't help but lift you up.
So look up Toastmasters in your local area. You can go to toastmasters.org. You can find that. Or there is the local Toastmasters in Maidenhead. So if you're in Windsor and Maidenhead, here is the group. Katie's putting it in the chat. Join it. It's very inexpensive. Like, there are small fees, but it's like 70, 80 quid for 6 months. It's very inexpensive. And this actually led to the biggest client I ever had. I went to the Toastmasters Club at Microsoft, which led to me teaching how to present, communicate, and have more charisma at Microsoft for 10 years. So it created incredible opportunities in our lives. So that's number 7. We're going to move on to number 8, which is reset your wealth thermometer. And you'd be like thinking, where is my wealth thermometer? Is it on the wall? No, it's not. It's an internal thermometer. And what we're talking about is this idea that people get comfortable with earning a certain amount of money. They're like, well, I always earn 30 grand a year or 40 grand a year. They get comfortable with it. And there was a fascinating example to bring this life of a salesman. And he joined this company. He was a brand new salesman, so they gave him the worst area possible. And he got his patch, his area. He went out to work and he produced 50,000 of sales in the first year. And everyone was inspired, surprised, because they're like, this is the worst area, and he's created 50,000. So the next year, they gave him a better area with more clients, thinking he's going to smash that, like more opportunity, more clients. Can you guess how much he earned the second year? £50,000, the same. He had better opportunity, but he earned the same. And the people were really confused. They didn't understand it. So they kind of relegated him back to the worst area. And the next year, can you guess what he earned from the worst area? And he earned £50,000. And what's really fascinating is in the bad area, he worked really hard to generate what he thought he needed. Then when he got into the good area, he thinks, well, I only need to earn 50 grand. So he would like work for half the week and then go on the golf course, do other things, like hang about. And he wouldn't work as hard. And he had this set in his head of what he needed to earn. And he worked hard to get there and then stopped. So what I want to say to you is reset your thermostat about how much is good for you to earn. Reset your thermostat. And how do you do this practically? We're going to do a little experiment. So I'd like you to play along with me. We'll do a little experiment and we'll see what happens. So would you please close your eyes for a second? This is not an opportunity to go to sleep, Lucy. It looks like you very quickly did that. Just close your eyes for a second, and I would like you to go inside and imagine in your mind that you have an internal control panel. And think of it as like mission control for yourself. and you're looking around and you can see all these levers and switches and buttons, and you're like, wow, all these different things that I can control and change. And you look around and you see, oh, look, there's one for how fast your heart is beating, and there's one for how you're breathing, and there's the control for how confident you are. Oh, look, there's my wealth thermostat, and you can see it. And imagine the color it is. Is it a sliding scale that you can move up and down? Is it a controller? Is it a button? And move towards it. And maybe you could push it up. And I would like you to take control of your thermostat and press that button or move it up or set it higher to a new level. And feel how it feels. Feel how the color changes, how things move, and increase your wealth thermostat. And then once you've done that, maybe you could just imagine going back around the controls and you can see the confidence one. Whilst we're in there, just increase confidence by 10%. So push that one up, see it going brighter, see a bit more energy, double the feeling in your body and feel good. And then I would like you to come back to now. So come back out of the control panel, come back to the moment. How did that feel? What happened in there? Did you manage to find the button for your thermostat? Did you manage to find the confidence button? At least Katie's nodding now.
I enjoyed it.
And I think it's fascinating when you go in there and you start changing those different things and moving it round. And this is part of just resetting your wiring and your energy level to go, no, I've pushed it up. I do want to earn a bit more. I do want to do a bit more. Verinda says has a good one. Dee says gave me a warm glow. I love that. But it's about resetting the energy. And in the very first workshop about manifesting, we talked about daily mini visualizations. And you might have these scenes that you visualize about earning more money, living on the beach, having fun, doing whatever it is. If you can imagine that happening each day, it starts to help you focus forwards. Sarah says it was like the control desk on Inside Out.
I love that.
I love that movie. That's kind of my visualization.
The second one coming out soon. I'm excited.
So do that visualization and start to think about how you can do this. Grazie says, I've got to change my mindset because I felt like it was unrealistic. Grazie, that celebrate. If you felt that was tough, celebrate because you've just found a limiting belief. So you don't believe you can earn more money. That's what we need to change, and that will change everything. Change everything. So if you found it hard, celebrate because you found a limiting belief and we can work on that. Watch the first workshop about the mindset bit. It will help you with that. And SRF says, great, my thermostat was a graph going upwards earlier and the 10% confidence boost made me smile. That was the purpose. So visualize each day these things. And then a second tool to help you change that is questions control your focus, and your focus controls your destiny. So questions control your focus, focus controls your destiny. So what questions are you asking yourself on a daily basis? So I've got some ideas for you. Could you ask on a daily basis in the morning, how can I increase my income? And come up with one idea, one thing you could do to move it forwards every day. How can I help money flow to me? What can I do today to improve my skills? How could I make more money and have more fun? Which is one of my favorite questions. What problems can I solve today? How can I add more value to the people around me? Your daily questions control your daily focus. And then those actions build up into habits. And that builds up over the years to create the life you live. So that is number 8. Change your wealth thermostat, change your focus, and change your destiny.
Tip number 9, or idea number 9, develop a skill set you can sell. And Alan's going to do a whole workshop on this on Monday about creating a side hustle. We've got a couple of ideas for you here to keep you going before then. So the first one was about cooking. We have a lot of people that love to cook. And there was this guy, his name was Mr. Singh, and he cooked Indian food. And he had this he had a full-time job, but on the side, he had this passion for helping people learn how to make Indian food. So for a Christmas present for Alan, Mr. Singh came to our house, taught us how to cook this beautiful curry. We had dal and we had aubergine bhaji. Oh, it was so good. And that's just something that he did on the side, that he was able to sell his skills and make people happy. We love that food and we love that experience.
Wonderful. Yeah, we cooked Indian food for 3 hours, then he disappeared and we had a romantic meal. It was wonderful. One of the skills I developed was how to present, and then I sold workshops about how to present, and I made a huge amount of money doing that. You could run social media accounts for other people. Like if you love Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, it doesn't matter. People will pay you to help you do them about that.
And if you're spending all your time scrolling on your phone anyway, then why not get paid to do it for someone else?
Exactly. And an expression that I have, one of my favorites, is read the top 3 books in any subject and you'll know more than 95% of the population. Read the top 3 books on how to sell, read the top 3 books on how to use Instagram to build your business. Don't care what the subject is, you will know more than most of the population and you will have skills that you can sell. It is unbelievable. I did also want to pick up on Mo Connell said my thermostat went blue, then went purple when I turned it up. That sounds fun. And Natalie says a boiling pressure from its unhealthy root, pushing up the temperature from yellow to white to bliss. Sounds like she's really having fun with this. It's awesome. Okay, so that's number 9, learning more. Let's go to number 10, which is increase your efficiency. Increase your efficiency. And the employer's perspective is, and this is one of our perspectives that we've noticed over the years, the ability to get shit done is rare. The ability for people to take an idea and create it is rare. And you get to learn these people that they just get things done. They make things happen. And then you want to work with them. You're inspired to work with them. So if you can develop your skills and abilities, it's called self-efficacy, your power to make things real, people will want to work with you. It changes everything. So if there's one skill you'd want to learn in this area, it's like, how do I get things done quickly? This guy, Mr. David Allen, did an incredible book called Getting Things Done. I interviewed him on my podcast. So the QR code in the middle is him on my podcast. And he's like one of my heroes about getting things done. He's self-proclaimed. He's like, I'm a lazy person, so I wanted to work out how to do things as quickly as possible. I'm like, that sounds fabulous. Teach me. And then the second episode was about coaching someone to create something from nothing. Your ability to get things done and make progress will change everything. Learn the skills to be efficient, to be organized, to make things happen quickly. Your employer will love you for it. And the people who work for me over the years that come to me and go, okay, you said you wanted this. I've done this, this, and this. This is organized. What's next? I'm like, wow, I love you. Can we do more? And then there's other people, you give them tasks and 3 weeks later, they're like, haven't done anything.
This is a learned skill as well. I think people think, well, I'm either an organized, get stuff done person or I'm not, and I'm disorganized. But it's absolutely a learnable skill that anyone can do. And these resources are a great place to start.
Yes, they are. So let's move on to number 11, which is lifelong learner, which actually ties in nicely to learning to be efficient, lifelong learner. This is Katie and I at a group. We went to a course called Unleash the Power Within last year. It's a really fabulous course. We went on this course called Landmark. It's a fascinating course helping you to learn about how you think. We've done Unleash the Power Within. We created our Extraordinary Life course and we gave it away to people. We are constantly learning. And one of the reasons for that is the more I learn, the more valuable I am to you. The more I learn, the more I improve my life. It changes everything. And this all started many, many years ago. I was having a rough period. My parents were getting divorced. My family life was crashing. I worked for my dad. you do not want to work in the family business whilst your parents are getting divorced. So I lost my job. I went to see my girlfriend and said, not Katie, it was an old one. I went to see my girlfriend and said, I've lost my job, my family's messed up. Will you come away with me? And she said, I don't love you anymore. Uh, and like everything fell to pieces. And this nice guy said to me, your life's a mess. Here's a book that I think will help. And I took the book, I went on holiday, I read it, and it changed everything. That was the book, Notes from Friend. And it taught me a lot of the way I think about today. It taught everything. And you can learn anything from a book. You can learn how to earn, how to invest, how to change your mindset. You can learn anything. One of the keys here as well, I wanted you to think about taking advantage of your employer. Your employer wants to help you get better too. Go on all the courses your employer offers. They might have resources, books, audio programs, HR courses. It always amazed me at the companies I used to work for. People were like, oh, do I have to go on a course and training? And I'm like, why are you not excited? You can learn, and they are paying for you to get better. They're paying for you to learn skills that will help you be successful in your next job. Use everything. I cannot believe people resent training days at work. Like, it's free education that will help you. And I was always impressed. Microsoft had a library. So you could borrow all of these audio programs, all of these books. They wanted to help you learn. It's phenomenal. So, has your employer got resources? They will lend you. And I'm always amazed. I have lots of resources, but no one who works for me asks to use them or asks for recommendations. They don't seem to ask for it. I find it insane. We are living in one of the best times ever because there is so much free information out there: podcasts, blogs, YouTube channels, library books. You can learn anything. For an additional resource for us, last year we ran the Extraordinary Life course. There's a link to it there. We did 5 workshops about creating the life of your dreams. We're going to be redesigning and doing it again December, January, at the end of this year to help people set up for the next year. But the one there is still on YouTube if you ever fancy watching it. So you can get to that if you would like to. And Katie's put the link in the chat on YouTube. It's also in the description on YouTube.
It is. I did my homework. If you're watching on catch up, all the things that we've mentioned, there will be links in the descriptions.
For us, education didn't stop at school, but for many people, they're like, well, I learned everything I needed to know at school. I can add up and I can speak. That's it. So they stop. For me, learners are earners. The more you learn, the more valuable you are to all the people around you, the more you will earn. So that's number 11. And then the final one, number 12, is the magic ingredient.
Sounds interesting and intriguing, Alan.
Daniel looks interested for the first time in the workshop. He was like, what is it? Tell me. Tell me. Do you want to know the magic ingredient?
Yes.
Would you like to know what it is? NN says they would love to meet us one day, which is awesome. We'd love to meet you, NN, but we are not the magic ingredient.
I don't know. Sprinkle a bit of Donegal in your life. You never know what happens.
Alex Payne says, is Lego the magic ingredient? I wish it was, because I would have an excuse to buy unlimited Lego.
Oh, patience, says Claudia.
Claudia says patience. Ooh, patience question mark. Or just you're having patience with us telling you. We don't know which, but that's okay. The magic ingredient is, well, let me give you an example. Who would you buy from? And this comes from an actual study they did. Who would you buy from? You've got this like quite serious, quite sad grey salesman.
Quite grey there, aren't you?
Who sells a photocopier, a printer, I don't know, whatever product it is, they sell it. And it's, you know, got X price, X quality, good customer service. And then you've got another salesperson who's very happy, they're fun, they sell a similar product, they sell it for a similar price, it's of a similar quality, and it's of a similar customer service. Who would you buy from? The person you know, like, and trust, or the like slightly grey, boring, serious one? Who would you buy from? Grazia says the person I trust. It's interesting. Claudia says, oh, yeah, sense of humor. I noticed in your visuals, it transpired that you're having fun. Sarah says, people buy from people. Alex says, colorful guy. Ellen says, enthusiasm.
Daniel's bucking the trend. He said, grumpy guy, probably easier to negotiate down. I love
Because
the
he's
way you're
already
thinking.
downtrodden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Donna says the fun one.
The least irritating one, colorful guy, colorful guy. It's interesting. So the study said people think that the reason people change suppliers is because of price, quality, and customer service. Yes, those things matter, but if they're kind of equal, then what actually matters is, do you like the person and do you want to work with them? Are they fun to work with? And I couldn't believe it when I read this study and it said fun is one of the critical elements in business. You're like, how does this even work? Fun? Fun? But do you think about it? Who do you like to work with? Who do you want to work with? The people that are fun and get shit done, or someone else?
And this can be working with in terms of your colleagues around you as well, and not necessarily like if you're going for a job or selling something to someone, even your colleagues and how you interact in the office. Are you the interesting, excited one that is happy and joyful and brings joy to other people around them? Or are you the grey one?
Shelley Marie says, yes, energy is so important. It is. Like, who do you want to spend time with? Think about your friends. Who would you promote? The person that brings light and fun to the office and does a good job? Who would you choose to work with? And this key sentence at the end, attitude trumps skills every day. Like the ability and the attitude to positively go at things changes everything. And I'm sure you all know people you work with that energy sucks. They're like drains. They like suck the life out of the room. They turn your color black and white. And then there's other people that just bring light in when they're fun and they're just enjoying working with you. Saloni, if you're on the call, we love working with you. You bring energy to our life. The energy exchange is so important. So there you go. That's the end. The secret ingredient is fun. Those are the 12 ways to increase your income. So we had ask for a raise,
change career,
become a freelancer,
add more value,
become a negotiator,
learn how to sell,
become a public speaker,
reset your wealth thermometer,
develop a skill set you can sell,
increase your efficiency,
become a lifelong learner,
and the magic ingredient at the end, which is fun. And we got a few more bits to give you, so stay tuned because we wanted to know, most of all, like, which ones are you going to do first? And let's maybe like show the previous one so that they can see like which ones are you actually going to do. And the key thing as well is do the uncomfortable ones first. Because if this was me, I in the past have hidden from the uncomfortable stuff, and I probably would have gone, oh, lifelong learner, I'll do that. I'll listen to some podcasts, read some books. I won't actually have to risk anything, risk any kind of rejection of asking for a raise or anything like that. No, don't be like me. Make way more progress. Which are the ones that scare the bejesus out of you, but you know really would make a massive impact on your life, and do those ones first. Of course, you can do the other ones around the side, but which ones scare you? Which ones are you actually going to commit to doing?
Alex and Ella said fun, which I love. There are some of these that are like easy wins. You can go into work tomorrow and say, like, how can I have a little bit more fun and enjoy myself a little bit more? That's an easy win. Make sure you balance that, as Katie said, alongside doing the stuff that will make a true difference as well. But the fun over time will change things massively. Alex said, become a speaker for sure. I'm loving this. Please keep putting in. Nike said toastmasters.org. Andy says looking up Toastmasters. Andy, Toastmasters, great. It really is. We did say we would read out some of our poem if we hit 150 likes.
Where are we up to?
Currently, we have one like, so that
like.
Looks like we're not doing that.
That's been nice. That's just maybe because I've done
or
that.
Maybe it hasn't updated. Maybe someone could tell us how many likes we have on the Facebook channel
on the YouTube.
On the YouTube channel. Sorry, we want to actually know.
Yvonne says, in 2021, I explored joining the Guild of International Professional Toastmasters. The course was £1,700 plus accommodation. At that time, it was a challenge, but we'll revisit.
Well, I think, Yvonne, you do not need to spend that money. Toastmasters is a local organization. You do not need to join the Guild of International Professional Toastmasters. Like, just go to the local Toastmasters. There are some next level ones in London if you want to improve your skills, or some of the other bigger cities. You don't need to spend that money. You can develop your skills in a lot of different ways. So just go to the local Toastmasters groups. Guildford has a fabulous Toastmasters group. That's where I went. They are very good.
So we've had about 46 likes, nowhere near the likes needed to do the poem. So
Perfect. So we're off the hook. We wanted to say do the uncomfortable ones first. We're skipping the poem. And the message before we ask you the last question is there is a floor to how much you can reduce your spending. You need a certain amount of money for your mortgage, your utilities, your different stuff. There is a floor to how much you can screw your spending down. However, there is no ceiling to how much you can earn. And that's where it gets truly exciting. There is no ceiling to the money you can earn. And this is where you will truly increase your speed on your finances. And I believe you can achieve anything. I genuinely believe that. I look at you, Lucy. I look at you, Daniel. I look at Pete in the chat and Alex Payne. I believe you can do anything. And maybe you don't believe that yet, but you can borrow some of my belief. Borrow my belief and my certainty that you can do it, because I genuinely believe you can. Lucy, you can achieve anything. So please borrow some of my belief and go out there and do it. And if it doesn't work, failure is just a stepping stone to success. If you ask for a raise and they say no, then ask the next question, what do I have to do to deserve that raise or to need that raise? And then you can take the next step and the next step. Failure is just a stepping stone to success. So if you get knocked over and you end up sitting on the stone, get up and keep going. And I think the real key bit here is people overestimate what they can achieve in a year. They'll go out from this workshop and think I'll double my salary straight away in a year. And it doesn't happen. They get demotivated and they give up. And what they really need to think is they're underestimating what they can achieve in a decade. Like, what you can do in a decade is phenomenal. It's incredible. So think about this as a long game to build the life you actually want. We got some extra resources for you as well. We've boiled these tips down into a 9-minute video, which you can get with that code on the left. We have a blog article. If you like to read instead of watch us, you can read that. Or I did a podcast episode with Choose FI, all about ways to increase your income, that you could listen on your way into work, to the gym, whilst you're walking, as ways that you can work on this stuff, remind yourself of the ideas and keep going. We want you to keep learning with us. This is a set of 7 workshops that we're doing. You don't have to watch them in order. You can watch any one of them at any point. The next one, which I am running on Monday, is creating a side hustle and making money doing what you love. I'm very excited about that one. The final question we need from you, this is the bit we need. Saloni from the Royal Borough of Windsor Maidenhead will love you forever if you fill this out. We've got a question for you. I feel empowered to make change. Like, before the workshop, how empowered did you feel to create change in your career, your work, whatever it is? Or before the Donegans, how empowered did you feel to create change? And then afterwards, if you're on YouTube, please scan the code. Katie has put the link in the chat. Please fill this out. This is the proof that Saloni needs to be able to give us more money to do more of these workshops. So please fill this out. It helps us to build the channel, reach more people, create more workshops, and build content for you. We so need this. So please fill this out before the workshop and after the workshop, or pre-Donegans and post-Donegans, whatever you want. Like, we came into your life with weird energy and it changed things. Alex says, thank you so much for a fantastic session.
Oh,
Alex, we
sure.
appreciate you coming. Did you fill out the form? Please fill out the form. Verinda says, really enjoyed today's workshop and looking forward to the one on Monday. Yeah, it's going to be big. I'm excited about that. So please fill out the question. We've had 52% of the people on Zoom fill it out. Daniel, have you filled it out? Have you filled out one each? Oh, no, they're not. I love that.
Double nods.
Devinda, have you filled it out? Andy, Lucy, Julie, have you filled it out? Julie turned on her camera. I got a thumbs up from Julie. 67, 66% have filled it out. Andy's done it, which
And
is
two
awesome.
of them are us as well. So
Okay, so that doesn't count.
as in that haven't done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So there we are. Thank you. NN says, thank you so much. It's been amazing. Natalie says, turning passion into profit with my poems. I love that.
Cool.
Yes, earn some money with that. Alex says, I will do the form, worry not. Thank you, Alex, because I was worried. Kate says, thank you. Ella says, yes, it filled it out. Ella, you get a gold star. Thank you. So last little question. Do you happen to work for Legoland or Merlin, or are you a resident of Abri, the housing association? If you are, please write Lego in the chat, or please write Abri in the chat. It means a lot because then we know if you've actually turned up from their promotion. We actually want to know that. Al Hanley says, outstanding workshop again. Thank you, Al. You made my day. I'm really happy this is working. Lauren says the QR code isn't working.
I'm putting the link in.
So Lauren, we're sending you the link in the chat. Please use that link put there. Bibiana says Lego. She works for Lego. That's fantastic. Yeah, Alex Payne says I still want a poem. Alex, maybe we'll do it on Zoom if people actually want it, but we're not going to force YouTube to watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the close of the workshop is do something about this. Please take the 12 ideas and take action tomorrow. Do something. Wake up with energy, visualize the money coming in, tune up the wealth thermostat, and then go out there and make something. If you'd like to come over to the Zoom for Q&A, we will stop and answer a few questions before we move on and chat to everyone, which would be really good. YouTube people, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of the Rebel Finance School community. We love you all. And please send us messages about what happens. Send us messages about what changes and what happens. Thank you for filling out the surveys. Thank you for being part of the gang. I'm going to end the YouTube now.
Bye-bye, YouTube. We love you.
Goodbye, YouTube people. You are phenomenal. And there we go.
I waved the